We are in the garage once again, and just a little update because I haven't posted in a while. So we got our MT-07 over here. I haven't actually taken it out. I don't know. Good angle. Let's see if we can give you a good angle. So MT-07 over here. Ever since we replaced the oil pan, I haven't taken it out. Well, actually I did. I'd taken it out once, just locally here on some back roads to drive a little bit. Love it. Every time I ride this bike, I'm speechless. Every time I ride this bike, it's just an awesome bike for back roads. Like, such a great bike for especially when you consider the price. Like, it is an amazing motorcycle, really. And then a couple of things that changed since the last post. You may see this beast over here. So this is the 2024 or 25. No, this is 2025 EXCF 500, which I actually bought shortly after I busted the oil pan on the MT-07. Now, the way this bike sits, it is not a stock. It is not a stock EXCF 500. This, as it sits right now, it's about $25,000 machine. And then over here we have another bike which we picked up maybe around 2 to 3 months ago. This is what we're going to talk about today. This is the Kayo K2 230. This is a Chinese bike. So in today's episode, or episodes like I'm making a TV show, in today's video we're gonna talk about that bike, and I'm gonna kind of discuss things that went wrong with that bike, things we found, how the process went actually purchasing it. We got it used. We had to travel, had to go about 6 hours each way, so about 12 hours trip to pick this bike up and to get it home. And about 20 hours on this bike, 25 hours on this bike, 3 oil changes. So let's talk about it. Now let's go ahead and chat a little bit about the bike. What is it? It's a 2021 Kayo K2 230. It's a Chinese bike, literally imported from China. And it retails new for, I think it retails new for around $3,500. Correct me if I'm wrong. But you can find them used for around $2,500 to, well, actually anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500 is what I've seen. We actually got one retailing here nearby right now for $1,500. Now this bike here we got for $2,000 flat, and we had to drive quite a ways to get that. Now the reason why we made that drive is because we got it from it's a 2-owner machine, low hours, and the second owner was a female. So we wanted a bike that basically had barely been ridden, and usually those are the bikes that you buy from female riders. So 2021, low miles, low hours. I think they told us it had about 7 hours on it. And it's basically set in a shed for about 2.5 years without being ridden at all. So when we got there, we looked at the bike. We tried to cycle the bike with a kickstand to kind of see how smooth the gears are rotating when you apply pressure on the kickstart, not the kickstand, the kickstart, this guy. So you can apply pressure gently when it's in first gear, when it's in neutral, and just to kind of see how much resistance and just kind of feel how the gears are turning inside the crankcase. So we did that. It was very smooth. I rode it. It was very smooth. The only issue that we had when buying it is it would not stay running, and it's a carbureted bike. So basically when you release the choke, it does not want to stay running if the carburetor is clogged. Now, if you're using non-ethanol fuel, then you will not have this problem. But with ethanol fuel, which is what most gas stations carry right now, there's at least 10% ethanol. This bike, you have to make sure that you do not keep it. That when you store this bike for any period of time, like a week of a few days, you want to burn off the excess fuel. The way you do it is you turn this knob to off position, and then you start the bike and you let it idle until it basically dies. At that point, the fuel that is in the carburetor, right here, all the fuel that's in the carburetor is going to get burnt, and then there's nothing that's going to clog your carb. But as long as that ethanol fuel is going to sit in the carb, it's going to be clogging the carb. And the problem we had is the idle jet, or the correct term is the pilot jet, it got clogged. So one of the things I had to do is actually pull the carb out and replace the pilot jet with a new one, because I don't have the means of cleaning the carb. I don't have the tools. You could get a little pan, a metal pan, where you could, pour some carb cleaner and then run it for maybe like 30 minutes with all the parts from the carb, with the carb itself. I think it costs like 80 to 100 bucks, and it would completely get rid of all the gunk in the carb. Your carb would be basically new. You can reuse it as many times as you want, or clean the carb that way as many times as you want. But if you buy this bike, it's carbureted. If when you release the choke, it does not want to stay running, that's your carb. It's like 90% your carb. So that's one issue we had. Second issue, well, not really an issue. When we brought the bike home, we actually went over the entire bike, and we put this torque marks on pretty much everything, to keep track of, so nothing gets loose on this bike. It's one of the things we did. We took off some plastics. We went over the electrical. We took off the headlight, and we looked. So you can see there's wires coming off from, let's see, the starter, the choke, and then there's the safety wire for clutch engagement. So this bike will not start unless you engage the clutch. So there's a little switch up here that gets pressed and the signal goes down. So I don't remember exactly which it was. I believe it was the wires coming from this safety switch that were actually rubbing against the frame, and it was pretty bad to a point where you could actually see the wires sticking out. And why they weren't shortening out, I don't know. Maybe they weren't touching anything at the time when we were riding, but they were definitely dangerously bad. So easy repair, just clipped the piece that was completely rubbed through and spliced the wires back with some soldering iron, put some shrink wrap on it, and then added some electrical tape on top of that, just for a little bit added protection from the elements. put that together, put it back together, and then we took the bike out for a number of rides. I think two or three rides. We put about 15 hours on it, 15-20 hours on it, and then we had a first major issue on the trail, and we were lucky we weren't on any difficult trail. The trail itself that we were on weren't that difficult, and we also were lucky that there was kind of a bypass trail that we can get off to, which was just completely flat, and we could take that trail all the way to our base camp essentially. And yeah, because the issue that we had is the clutch completely went out, so there was basically no bite on the clutch. You were not able to get going on this bike. Yeah, that's very bad news. If that happens to you and you're on a pretty hard trail, that would be a major pain in the ass. So let me show you guys. Here we have, here's the old, oh, that's a filter. By the way, this is the filter it came with. We kept it, but we did replace the filter because this filter was pretty, it was kind of in a bad shape. It wasn't dirty, but it wasn't really lubed very well, and some of the area, it's very dry. Like this area here, it just basically caused the filter to be dry. Now we did relube it, and we're just keeping it around as a spare filter. But here, this is why we came here. So this is the clutch that was in this bike. See, old clutch basket. So here's your plates, here's your retainer, all your springs. Yeah, we're keeping it just in case, who knows, but basically we had to limp off the trail with a bad clutch. And good thing that if you dumped the clutch and gave it gas, the bike would have enough bite on that clutch to actually start going. So we had to do that. So yeah, and then we got it home. We weren't sure exactly what it was at the time, but from all the research we did, it was pointing at the clutch, because the clutch lever here and the clutch cable here was kind of loose. I tried adjusting down on the trail, didn't do anything. It was still no bite. So eventually we ordered a new clutch from Kayo, which was pretty easy. I think the clutch ran for under $200, I think, and it took us what, I think 2 weekends actually to do it, because we weren't exactly sure what we were doing, and it did also require a special tool for, like, once you take off the case here, which, if you're wondering, you have to take this off, you have to take the kickstand off. To do that, you have to take the brake lever off, and then you also have to loosen the exhaust in the headers up here, and then you also have to take the muffler off with this bolt. It's not too difficult to take off, to be honest, but you just have to take all that stuff off, and then all you do is loosen these bolts, pull that out, and your clutch basket is right here. So once you do that, there's actually a bolt that you need to take off on this side that is kind of blocking, kind of keeping the clutch basket in place, or blocking the clutch basket from being pulled out. So that bolt, you need a special tool for it, which we did not have. So that's why it took us 2 weekends instead of one. If we had that, I think we would have done it in one. Well, when I say 1 weekend, I mean 1 day. So it took us 2 days. If we had the tool, I think it would take us 1 day to do. So as far as the issues that is basically all the issues we had with this bike. Now let's take a look at what we've done to the bike ever since we got it. So we have replaced the grips. The stock grips were kind of bad. They were also a little damaged. So we replaced the grips with the Domino grips. We've got a little USB plug here. Also doubles as a battery indicator. So batteries on this bike, they're pretty weak. But with that said, this bike actually cranked very easy when we went to get it. After sitting in the storage for such a long time, it cranked easy. But yeah, so 12.8. It rarely gets to 13. So this is the high charge on it. It rarely gets to 13. Like compared to those bikes, like this one will show 14, like 13 and a half to 14. This one is kind of 13 to 13.5. This one is in the 12s is normal. We got the quad lock mount. We got the hours meter on here. We keep forgetting to turn this thing on, unfortunately. So it did come with the grips. The grips that it came with are very bad. I'm not gonna lie, this is kind of trash. This bike was dropped maybe about 10 times, but it's been dropped twice hard. Once it came down, I think on this side, and I thought there was going to be a problem with the radiator guards, or sorry, not the radiator guards, because this bike is liquid. This bike is air cooled, so it doesn't have a radiator. But I thought it would have a problem with this metal. I don't know what to call it. Cross membrane, that it would bend it, because it fell kind of hard on this side, and I was afraid it was gonna crack the gas tank, but actually there is nothing. So this did a pretty good job of protecting the gas tank. And then another hard fall was on this side, so you can see initial fall, it was taken by the handguard, same handguard as on that side. So we do have new handguards already waiting to be installed. But when it was dropped, the throttle actually was getting stuck, because this handguards, I don't know what handguards these are. This is very cheap aluminum. This aluminum, like, I can bend it with my hands actually, and you can see like it's bending kind of inward, right? Like this portion, it almost wants to pull out that bolt and bend inward. Well, that's what it did on this side. On this side, it basically bent inward, and it made the throttle to stick. So we actually had to do a trail repair to take off the handguard, and after we took it off, there was another fall, and that's how we have a shorty lever now, custom. So yeah, so that's basically, oh, and we got the bag. So there's we have some tools in here, just some basic tools to take care of any screws, any nuts and bolts that may need to be loosened up or tightened up. There's some patches. I believe there's tire irons in there as well, if you need to pull out the tube and repair it. Now, one thing I was surprised about when we got this bike is it actually comes with a rim lock. So this is a rim lock, and it has a rim lock front and rear, which is kind of, let me see if I can show you the rear one, which is honestly kind of crazy to think about it. So this is a rim lock as well. Basically, you can, what rim lock allows you to do is to run on a very low PSI. If you need traction, if you're fighting traction and you need more traction, you could run on a very low PSI, and it will keep the bead of the tire secured to the rim without allowing it to spin. It kind of works like a bead lock in a way on like ATVs or Jeeps, you know. Not exactly the same, but kind of similar concept. So yeah, now what do I think about this bike? For 2,000 or even 2,000 and a half, but you can find them for 1,500. You're basically getting a brand new motorcycle if you find the right one. Okay, like here, this one is pretty much brand new. For 2,000 bucks as an entry-level bike, I think you cannot beat that. It sounds insane. That's one of the things I did not talk about, but it sounds really good. It sounds better than my KTM over there with a stock muffler, which is kind of crazy. Makes me wonder how this thing will sound if you put a nice pipe on it. So yeah, as an entry level bike, sounds great. It is low to the ground, which is what you want for your first bike. You want something that is lower to the ground, that you can set your feet down, especially if you're a female rider. That's going to be a huge deal for you, man, if you're a female rider, because all the bikes, like all the KTMs for example, they're freaking tall. Like this bike is, I think, what, 38 inches off the ground, and this bike is, I think, 32 inches off the ground. So, and on top of that, you can actually adjust the height on it. So we could actually jack it up a little bit. There's an adjustment on the shock. The fact that the shock actually comes with that adjustment is also pretty crazy for this price point. And then we could also lower it a little bit more, again, through rotating the shocks. It's pretty easy to adjust it up and down. The suspension on this bike is for somebody who weighs around 220 pounds. I think if you're weighing more than that, you're gonna find that the suspension is not adequate. So if you're a smaller rider, if you're a female rider, if you're a short rider, I think this bike is great. Now Kayo's also, and this is not a sponsored video, but it's just for if you're out there looking for a beginner bike to try to start on, and you're kind of a bigger rider, maybe 160, 180, 200, you should maybe take a look at the K4 and K6. Now their K6 is actually fuel injected, so you don't have to worry about the all the nuances of having a carb. And the K4 is going to be carbureted as well, but those are going to be a little bit bigger, a little bit taller, but they're also going to have a little bit more beefy suspension to support the weight of the rider. So if you're a bigger rider, look at those bikes. And overall, do I recommend this bike? I absolutely recommend this bike for beginner riders of a smaller frame. 100%. I think it's very hard to beat. The Japanese bikes right now on the market, even used ones, their resale is so high because the initial price of them is just ridiculous. It's close to 10 grand. Any Japanese bike you want to go out there and buy, it's close to 10 grand for an entry level bike, which I think is just absolutely crazy. So I do think that like this right here has huge appeal for many riders who are just starting out, and I do recommend everybody to go and check it out. The fact that it's Chinese, don't let it stop you. Just make sure you know what you're getting for your weight, and don't expect it to have any tech on it. This bike also is very easy to work on, and it's very, I think if you're going to be getting a bike and you are planning on doing this hobby for a while, this bike right here is going to be a great bike to just learn the ropes on, because there's not much tech, there's not much wiring, there's not much nonsense. It's very straightforward. Like, look at us, like we changed the clutch ourselves, never done it before. It was very easy to do on this bike. So yeah, another positive. And well, we're gonna be in some later videos, guys. We're gonna be talking about the KTM, all the mods that are on this bike here. I'll give you guys a little sneak peek because this bike hasn't been on the channel yet at all. I think this is the first time I'm actually showing you guys this bike. So we have a trickle charger here to make sure the battery doesn't die. We got some gear bags, got a custom seat, bigger tank. Anyway, stabilizer. By the way, the stabilizer I just installed yesterday, so there's gonna be a video coming out on the stabilizer. If you guys are interested in that sort of thing, make sure to sub on this channel. I basically make videos whenever I feel like it. I don't make it for algorithm or anything like that. I feel like making a video and I have time for it, I go ahead and do it. So the videos on this channel are going to be about Jeeps, motorcycles, Supra. I haven't introduced my Supra officially yet on the channel. You guys may probably have seen it in some of my earlier videos when I'm here in the garage. But we're gonna talk about the Supra in more detail. I'm gonna introduce it a bit more. We'll do a mod kind of walk around video on that. We have Jeep stuff coming up. Here's a little sneak peek on what's coming. So we have 37s right there. They lost one of my tires, so I'm waiting to get that. If you see here, another little cheat metal cloak. We have a lot of metal cloak stuff over here. There's a mountain of metal cloak and Yukon parts over there that we're going to be putting on. So if you're interested in Jeep content, make sure to stick around. And my long-term Jeep review is actually going to be coming up here on the channel pretty soon. I wanted to get it out of the way before I started modifying the Jeep and taking it to like the next stage. So yeah, guys, anyway, if you stuck around that long, really appreciate it. Hit that like button, sub if this is helpful, you know, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.